I transmigrated into a tragic romance novel as the scheming and toxic second male lead. The moment I opened my eyes, I found myself on the day I returned to the country to meet the female lead. Suddenly, countless bullet comments floated before my eyes. Scheming second male lead returns. Misunderstandings between leads begin. Second male lead hugs the female lead. Just in time for male lead to see. Cue the suspicion. Disgusting male side characters like him deserve to rot in the 18th level of hell. I can already foresee the male side character's miserable downfall. Can't wait. I sneered. Let the main couple play their toxic love-hate drama. Don't drag me into it. I'm not even the real second male lead. So, under the stunned gaze of the female lead, I directly rescheduled my flight to the soonest available one. That same night, I carried the damn plane on my back and went as far as I could. Who the hell wants to be part of your overdramatic play? Chapter 1. Willow stood in front of me. Her expression conflicted. George, she said with a touch of distance in her tone. So many years have passed. Everything's changed. Why insist on meeting me now? I shrugged nonchalantly and replied. Yeah, let's not meet again. She froze, lips parted slightly, unable to speak. The air filled again with overlapping bullet comments. What kind of manipulative line is that? Shouldn't he say, I've never stopped loving you, came all this way to see his ex, then just leaves after one sentence? What kind of plot is this? Ha, the simp's playing hard to get now. So cliché. Just wait. He'll be crying and begging for forgiveness soon. Can't wait for this loser to crash and burn. Gross. Go away already. Willow snapped out of it. Her chin lifted slightly, voice cold with fake generosity. Fine. Seeing you today fulfills your years-long wish. Don't contact me again. I nodded immediately. Crisp and clean. Great. With that, I turned and walked straight to the nearest ticket counter. Hi. I need a flight ticket. The earliest one possible. Doesn't matter where. Just get me out of here. Silence behind me. Willow clearly hadn't processed what just happened. The bullet comments went wild. Wait, what? He's actually leaving. The second lead really just walked away. Wrong script. Wasn't this supposed to be a deep tragic romance? Male lead starts a wife-searching purgatory while the second lead dies in despair. Now what? The second male lead bailed. Someone dragged the screenwriter out here. I quickly bought the next available ticket, didn't care where it was headed. As I received my new boarding pass, I let out a small laugh. In the original plot, I was the manipulative second male lead, Willow's secret admirer. Back then, I came from a poor family, and hers looked down on me. I was forced to leave the country. Now that I'd made something of myself, I came back driven by love turned hatred. My head was full of schemes to win her back, so I set traps. I framed the male lead, created misunderstandings between him and Willow. The male lead then entered a long and painful wife-searching purgatory, and me, I eventually burned to death in a fire I set myself. That was my ending. What a joke. But now, I'm not that pathetic second lead anymore. Who the hell wants to be your stepping stone in a melodramatic love triangle? Who wants to be part of your angsty, manipulative romance arc? I'd rather live free and unbothered. Isn't that better? Clutching my boarding pass, I headed toward security. That was the taste of freedom. Suddenly, a shadow blocked my way. Tall, overbearing. It was Makoto, the male lead. His expression was terrifying, eyes sharp as blades. He glared at me with suppressed fury. George, he growled. After all these years away, why the hell did you still have to meet her? Chapter 2. Makoto blocked my way completely, his whole body tense like a wild beast ready to pounce. The bullet comments instantly went berserk. Oh, the main lead has entered the chat. Let the pretentious second lead begin his performance. Quick, act pitiful. Say, it was just a coincidence, don't blame Willow. Waiting for the simp to start sobbing any second now, I looked into his flaming eyes and gave a crooked smile. My voice wasn't loud, but it was ice cold. Makoto, control your wife. Makoto froze. Willow whipped her head around to look at me. The bullet comments paused for a beat, then exploded. What the hell? Did he just say, control your wife? Did the second lead take the wrong meds? He dared talk back to the male lead. Where's the pretentious coquette energy? Where's the fake vulnerability? Where's the script? Screenwriter, your character is completely off script. I kept walking, trying to step around him. My next words slithered out like a venomous snake. Been broken up with her ex for years, and yet she still sneaks out to meet him. I glanced at Willow, whose face had gone pale, and scoffed. She's blameless, and you rush over to interrogate me. The air turned solid. The bullet comments turned into fireworks. Holy, did the second lead just reverse the attack? He threw the blame on the female lead. The pretentious coquette persona is shattered into pieces. I don't get this plot anymore. How do we do a love triangle without the fake nice guy? Director, the show's gone off the rails. Makoto's face turned pitch black, like the bottom of a scorched pot. He whipped his head toward Willow. Willow's lips trembled. Makoto, she didn't finish. Boom. A loud crack of thunder split the air, followed by the roar of heavy rain. Then the airport's overhead broadcast suddenly chimed in. Dear passengers, we regret to inform you that due to unexpected severe weather conditions, all incoming and outgoing flights are temporarily cancelled. Flight cancellation. The broadcast repeated it again and again. Instant chaos erupted throughout the terminal, passengers complaining, voices rising. Even the bullet comments went quiet for a second. Then they exploded again. Ha 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 ha. Divine intervention. You're not escaping. Fate itself is pulling you back in. Plot correction protocol activated. No way out for the second lead now. Look at the male lead's face. Battle mode. Love triangle. Makoto's glare darkened further. Willow also turned to look at me, eyes anxious, maybe with a bit of something else. Trouble. Big trouble. I didn't even look at them. The moment the broadcast began, I whipped out my phone and moved fast. Ticket apps. Ride-hailing apps. The earliest flight was the next morning. Too late. Who knew what kind of melodramatic mess could explode overnight? Call a ride. I immediately booked a private car. Destination, airport highway entrance. I just needed to get out of airport property. The bullet comments were stunned again. What's he doing? Isn't this the moment to seduce the female lead or provoke the male lead? Wait, is he hailing a ride? Flights are grounded and he still wants to run. In under 2 minutes, my phone showed the car had arrived, right at the departure's gate. I put away my phone, grabbed my suitcase, and marched to the exit, completely ignoring the main couple behind me. George. Makoto roared from behind. I think Willow called out too. Didn't hear it, didn't want to. I got into the rideshare car. Anywhere's fine. I told the driver, just drive, get me away from the airport. The door slammed shut. The engine revved. We slid into the curtain of rain. In the rearview mirror, Makoto and Willow were still standing behind the airport's glass doors, blurred silhouettes behind a downpour. A few final bullet comments flickered past. He really left. Running off in a storm like that. This second male lead is cracked. I took my pants off for this plot twist. The car sped up. The lights of the airport were quickly swallowed by the storm. The world went quiet. Chapter 3. The car sped through the pouring rain. The wipers slashed back and forth in a frenzy. And everything outside was just a blur of water. Suddenly, my phone rang. The screen showed Sophia. In the original novel, she was my ally. A classic villainess, the female version of a scheming antagonist. Together, we plotted to bring down the male and female leads. I frowned and picked up. Hello. George, brother. Sophia's voice was lowered with excitement. You saw Willow, right? How did it go? Is Makoto losing it? I was the one who secretly told him Willow was going to pick you up. She spoke a mile a minute. So when do we move on to the next step? I've already got the wine ready, just waiting for Makoto to. I cut her off immediately. My voice was ice cold. Don't contact me again, I mean it. Silence on the other end. What? I said. I repeated flatly. Don't ever bother me again. I stared out the rain-soaked window, my tone colder than the storm outside. I'm not playing your childish little games. The bullet comments exploded. What the fuck? It's Sophia. Is the toxic villain duo breaking up? What kind of plot is this? Second lead. What are you doing? How am I supposed to enjoy the wife-searching purgatory if you play it like this? Sophia started to panic. George, what do you mean? We agreed, didn't we? Makoto was supposed to accidentally end up in my bed, and Willow would walk in and see it. That would destroy them for sure. Then you could. Could what? I let out a cold laugh, cutting through her delusions without mercy. Get stuck with a weepy, emotionally codependent Willow who can't think about anything but men. Or maybe inherit that disaster of a company she's tied to, the Ito Group. The bullet comments lit up again. Did he just insult Willow? He called the Ito Group a dumpster fire. This second male lead has completely lost it. Off the rails. Sophia was stunned. George, bro, I thought you loved Willow the most. Didn't you hate Makoto for stealing her? We were supposed to. Stop right there. I was done with her. I used to. That was the old me. Now, my time is valuable. Got it? The bullet comments were baffled. Valuable. Valuable for what? Where is he even going? Valuable. Sophia's voice turned sharp. George, are you seriously screwing me over right now? We planned for months. We were just about to. That's your KPI. I said coolly. Not mine. I don't give a damn about your petty love triangle, your cheap drama, or your corporate chessboard. The bullet comments started rolling like a tsunami. KPI. He treated this like a performance metric. Second lead character arc just self-destructed. Refund. I want my emotional investment and my makeup money back. Sophia's voice was shaking with rage. George, bro, did Makoto threaten you? Or was it that bitch Willow? Did she say something to you? You can't just backstab me like this. Listen carefully, Sophia. My tone dropped suddenly, low, sharp, a clear warning. First, stop calling me bro. Second, watch your mouth. Whether Willow's a bitch or Makoto's an asshole, none of that has anything to do with me. And third, most importantly, I took a breath, then enunciated each word with ice-cold clarity. Stay away from me. Don't drag me into your mess. Keep your drama away from my life. Or else. I paused deliberately. Let her fill in the blank herself. The bullet comments kicked off again. Or else what? Is he threatening the villainess now? What kind of devil line is that? Evil second male lead versus evil female lead. The plot is totally off the rails now. If the second lead isn't even toxic anymore, what's left to watch? Refund. On the other end of the line, I could only hear her labored breathing. She was furious and scared. Get lost. I spat the word like venom and hung up. Then, without hesitation, I blocked her number. Silence returned. Just the sound of rain beating against the car windows. The bullet comments were still going wild. He hung up and blocked her. From allies to enemies in one chapter. Does this second male lead only know 2 lines, get lost, and don't bother me? The original author must be clawing out of their grave. The screenwriter is definitely crying in a bathroom stall right now. I leaned back against the seat and closed my eyes. Peace. At last. Make money. Enjoy life. Freedom. That's what matters. Who the hell wants to be tangled up in your psychotic web of love, betrayal, and trauma? My phone buzzed again. Not a call this time, just a notification from an app. I opened my eyes and checked. Hotel booking confirmed. Good. I'd go to the hotel tonight. Book the earliest flight out tomorrow. Get away from this hellhole for good. A few last bullet comments scrolled across the air. He booked a hotel. Wait, is he seriously just planning to sleep? Is his brain secretly inhabited by some Zen monk? This show's broken. I'm out. Unfollowing. I stared at the final bullet comment. I'm done with this series. And for the first time, I smiled. For real. Good. Stop watching. A bunch of people addicted to being hurt, then begging for forgiveness afterward. How exhausting. Chapter 4. The hotel room was brightly lit. My phone rang again. Willow. I stared at the screen for 3 seconds, then picked up, with zero warmth in my voice. What now? On the other end, Willow's voice came through, nasal and unsure. She hesitated, clearly not expecting my attitude. George, what's going on with you? You were acting so strange today. I snapped back impatiently. It's very simple. Stay the hell away from me. Anything else? Makoto misunderstood. He thinks there's still something between us. He doesn't trust me. He's furious right now. So. I cut her off mid-sentence. Can you help me explain things to him? The bullet comments immediately lit up. Oh ho. The female lead is asking for help. Of course he has to say yes. Then stir the pot. Classic villain strategy. Come on. Evil second male lead. Do your job or this novel's DOA. I stared at the phone. Voice freezing cold. Each word clear and deliberate. Willow, you're a married woman calling your ex-boyfriend in the middle of the night. You seriously think that's appropriate? Silence. Even the bullet comments glitched. A married woman, harassing. Did he just drop moral superiority out of nowhere? This angle is wild. He's claiming the high ground. Willow was stunned. She stammered. I wasn't. I just thought. I cut her off mercilessly. You just thought I was easy to manipulate, or that I'd lost my damn mind. You two argue, and I'm supposed to explain things. Are you out of your head? The bullet comments exploded again. Did he just call the female lead brainless? Moral high ground, claimed. Wait a second, why am I kinda starting to like this second lead? George, how could you say that to me? Willow's voice pitched up, full of wounded pride. I just wanted. Don't even think about it. I cut her off. Voice absolute. Control yourself. Control your husband. Whether you break up or make up, it's none of my business. I'm not going to be a pawn in your little drama. I hung up, blocked her immediately. Silence again. Just the whisper of rain against the window. The bullet comments imploded. Scrolling so fast I couldn't even read them all. Stick to the damn script. Second lead. A pawn in your game. Stop, I'm laughing so hard both my boobs hurt. I read the original novel. Wasn't he supposed to self-immolate in the end? What is this plot now? Where's my tragic love story? This went from romance to rogue protagonist real quick. Refund. Less than a minute after I hung up, I heard noise in the hallway. A man's slurred voice, drunken and indistinct, and a woman, deliberately lowering her tone, laced with smugness, coaxing him along. President Ito. Careful. Yes, that's the room, right this way. President Ito. Makoto. And that woman's voice. Sophia. No freaking way. Persistent as a damn curse. The bullet comments reached a fever pitch. Oh my god. The male lead and the villainous. Iconic scene loading. Drunk man. Locked room. Wrong bed. Love triangle battlefield. Begin. Quick. Take photos. Call the female lead. Trigger the misunderstanding arc now. It's happening. The misunderstanding. Just seconds away. The commotion was right outside my door. That drunken voice was unmistakably Makoto. And Sophia. Ugh. I'd recognize that fake sweet tone even if she came back as a ghost. From the room next door came a beep, the sound of a keycard unlocking the door. You've got to be kidding me. They're checking into the room next to mine. This plot correction system is absolutely shameless. The bullet comments erupted. Next door, literally next door. God's out here personally patching the plot. Second lead, go. Bust in on them mid-act. Let the female lead see this. Ignite the war. Script. Stick to the damn script. Can't avoid it. Bullshit. I stood up in one swift motion and stormed to the door. Yanked it open. Under the bright hallway lights, Sophia was half supporting, half dragging a completely wasted Makoto. He was slumped against her like dead weight. Her hand was reaching to push open the door to the room next to mine. They both froze. Sophia's smug grin cracked instantly, her face flashing first with panic, then twisting into a defiant smirk. Makoto struggled to open his eyes, his gaze hazy and unfocused. The bullet comments were losing their minds. Fight. Someone call security, or start filming. Now's your chance. Second lead, take the shot. I looked at them both, then pulled the corner of my lips upward. Not a smile, something colder, pure contempt. I raised my hand and pointed at Sophia's arm wrapped around Makoto, then pointed at the open hotel room door. My voice rang through the hallway, loud and icy. Wow, Sophia, real smooth. You've clearly done this before. Sophia paled. My gaze swept over Makoto's drunken face, then landed on Sophia's overly made-up expression, full of calculation. Escort service. Huh. I said it lightly, like flicking lint off my sleeve. Next time, bring a receipt. Pretty sure President Ito can get it reimbursed. And with that, bang, I slammed my door shut, locked it, sealing out that pair of dogs in heat, and the dumpster fire of a plotline they came from. The bullet comments flatlined. I have questions. He shut the door, and locked it. Escort service, reimbursement. Screenwriter do something. This man is unhinged. He didn't take pics. How's the female lead gonna find out now? I figured it was finally quiet again, but not long after. I heard the door next door swing open, followed immediately by Willow's gut-wrenching scream. Makoto, Sophia, what the hell are you doing? And just like that, chaos, a man mumbling excuses, a woman screeching in panic, furniture crashing, Willow sobbing and shouting accusations. It was a live-action domestic drama in full surround sound. The bullet comments came roaring back. She's here. Female lead has arrived. It's the iconic battlefield moment. Hair-pulling time. Where's the second lead? Get back in there and finish them off. So noisy. I frowned and shoved a pair of hotel earplugs in. Useless. That screeching carried like it was on a loudspeaker. Freaking annoying. I reached for the TV remote to drown it out with noise. Knock knock knock. Knock knock knock. Someone was pounding on my door. Hard. Urgent. The bullet comments had a field day. Oh snap. The female lead came to the second lead. Seeking comfort. Quick. Open the door. Perfect chance. Take her now while she's vulnerable. Chapter 5. I got up with a grim face and walked to the door, opening it just a crack. Sure enough, it was Willow. Her hair was a mess, her eyes swollen like walnuts, her face covered in tear stains, and her makeup was ruined, as if I didn't already have enough to deal with. I said impatiently, "What now?" The moment Willow saw me, her tears started pouring out again. She didn't even notice my expression, or rather, she was completely consumed by her own misery. "George, Sophia just tweeted that she and Makoto are together, and she told me you're here. Why didn't you tell me?" She cried out, voice choked with sobs, then suddenly lunged at me. She was trying to hug me. The bullet comments exploded with excitement. They're hugging. Classic comforting hug moment. Plot's back on track. The male lead sees this and will punch the other guy out. But right before she made contact, I expressionlessly raised my hand. Not to hug her, just one hand, firmly placed on her shoulder, and with force, I shoved her away. Hard. Willow was caught completely off guard. She staggered back 2 steps and almost fell. She looked up at me, stunned, disbelief written all over her face. She even forgot to cry. The bullet comments exploded again. Huh? What the hell was that? He pushed her. He really pushed her. She threw herself into his arms and he rejected her. What the hell is this? Where's the writer? This second male lead has lost his damn mind. You. Willow's voice trembled, wounded and confused. You pushed me. I withdrew my hand and brushed off some non-existent dust with disgust. What else was I supposed to do? I asked coldly. Let you wipe your snot and tears all over me. Willow was completely stunned. She looked at me like I was a total stranger. The bullet comments were going wild. He just called the female lead dirty. Character arc, ruined, completely. Is this really the same calculating, devoted second lead? I'm on my knees for this plot twist. You've changed. Willow suddenly screamed, full of despair and accusation. George. You've changed. You weren't like this before. You don't love me anymore. I gave a short, mocking laugh, quiet, but dripping with scorn. Love? I looked up at her, eyes colder than ice. Love? I repeated it again, like I was quoting a ridiculous joke. Willow, wake up. Love? That's complete bullshit. Bullet comments. Did he just say love is bullshit? Holy crap. This is a bombshell from the second male lead. The core theme of the original story just got stomped into dust. I leaned against the doorframe, my voice filled with sarcasm and utter disdain. Life's full of pleasures. There's so much to enjoy: gourmet food, fine wine, making money, building a career, fulfilling yourself, living freely. I listed them off, one by one. And you all? My eyes swept across her tear-streaked face, then flicked toward the room next door where the shouting hadn't stopped. Wrapped up in this mess of love and heartbreak, jealousy and betrayal, mutual torment, screaming and sobbing like lunatics. I shook my head, my conclusion sharp and cruel. Idiots. A bunch of idiots. Willow was frozen solid, lips parted slightly, unable to utter a single word. The bullet comments had completely lost it. Did he just call them all idiots? Food, money, freedom. This guy's worldview is toxic, but kinda makes sense. Original story fans are dead inside now. This novel is officially off the rails. But don't women just want love? Is that so wrong? I looked at Willow's stunned face and finally ran out of patience. So, do you get it now? I pointed toward the room next door. That's your man. You didn't keep an eye on him. That's on you. Then I pointed at her. Your marriage. You screwed it up. Also on you. Finally, I pointed at the door to my room. Right now, I just want to sleep. Don't bother me again. Without waiting for her response, I took a step back. Bang. I slammed the door shut, hard, locked it, clean, decisive, sealing off the sobbing, broken woman outside, and the shitty world she brought with her. The last few bullet comments. He closed the door again. He locked it again. Female lead is crying her eyes out at the door. The writer is probably crying in the bathroom too. This novel is completely off track now, but I'm kind of looking forward to tomorrow. Inside the room, the world was finally quiet. Chapter 6. Early the next morning, just as dawn broke, I'd slept decently. Noise-canceling earplugs really came through. After packing my things, I was ready to check out and catch the earliest flight. I wanted to leave for good. As soon as I opened the door, a thick stench of smoke hit me in the face, choking. The ground outside was littered with cigarette butts, at least 2 packs worth. Makoto was leaning against the wall across from my room. His suit was wrinkled, his tie crooked, hair disheveled, eyes bloodshot, and his chin covered in stubble. He looked like a man drained of all life, utterly haggard. The bullet comments jolted awake. Holy crap, the male lead's blocking the door. Did he stand guard all night? Punch the simp already. I can't stand that guy. This look, battle-damaged CEO. Simp in danger, beat down incoming. Makoto locked his bloodshot eyes on me as soon as I opened the door, like he wanted to tear me apart. George. His voice was hoarse, carrying the fatigue of a hangover and barely contained rage. Willow wants a divorce. He practically screamed it. Bullet comments flew in. Knew it. They're divorcing. Male leads panicking. Quick, blame the simp. I kept a straight face, dragging my suitcase as I moved to walk past him. I replied with a flat, oh, without pausing. What's that got to do with me? Bullet comments. Wait, what? Did he just say it's none of his business? That's not the reaction I expected. Makoto suddenly straightened up and blocked my path. Nothing to do with you. His voice spiked with rage and aggression. It's all your fault. George, you did this. You set me up. He jabbed a trembling finger at my face. You and Sophia planned this together. You framed me. You made Willow misunderstand. The bullet comments picked up speed. Yes. Pass the blame. Classic male lead excuse. Simp. Confess now. I stopped and looked at him, red-eyed, out of control. Then I laughed. Not a genuine laugh, one full of scorn. Makoto. My voice wasn't loud, but each word landed like an ice pick. Wake up. I looked him up and down, my gaze dripping with contempt. Were you really drunk last night? I tossed out the question, not waiting for an answer. You think a guy totally wasted can even get it up? I let out a mocking snort. You expect me to buy that crap? The bullet comments exploded. Oh my God. He said it. He freaking said it. Too real. The simp sees through everything. Makoto's face instantly changed, from pale and lifeless to beet red, then drained back to ghost white. His lips trembled. His eyes darted away, filled with panic. You're talking nonsense. He tried to deny it, but his voice was weak, shaky, zero confidence. The bullet comments lost their minds. He's panicking. Total panic. Confirmed. The male lead wasn't actually drunk. Simp is brutal. He exposed him. This plot twist. The author's coffin lid just flew off. I'm talking nonsense. I took a step forward, closing the distance, my tone sharp and pressing. Don't you know what you did? You mess up. And what? You blame the alcohol, blame a woman, blame me. I shook my head, voice thick with sarcasm. What did alcohol ever do to you? It just wanted to stay quietly in the bottle, but you're the one who had to pour it down your throat and cause a mess. The bullet comments roasted him. Alcohol, what did I ever do to you? Alcohol says, not my fault, bro. Another savage quote from the simp. Even the wine bottle wants to call the cops after that speech. Makoto, I gave my final verdict, like delivering a sentence. Last night, you did it on purpose. You wanted to get back at Willow, punish her for still having me, her ex, in her heart. You're childish, you're vile. And stop blaming everyone else for your crap. The bullet comments erupted with approval. Well said. Tear that fake mask off. The second male lead breaks all the tropes again today. Makoto had nothing to say. My words shut him down completely. His face turned ashen, and he stumbled back a step, slumping against the wall like someone whose spine had just been ripped out. And then, George. A familiar voice rang out. Willow came rushing around the hallway corner. Her eyes were even more swollen, her face pale, but in her gaze burned a strange light, intense, unsettling. She stared straight at me. Bullet comments turned on alert. Female leads here. That look in her eyes, something's off. She's about to do something crazy. Willow ran straight between Makoto and me. She didn't spare a single glance at the dazed, broken Makoto beside her. Her eyes were locked only on me. George. Her voice trembled with sobs, but her tone was unusually resolute. I'm divorcing him. She pointed at Makoto. Then, she turned to me. Her eyes burned hot with desperation, like someone making a last, all-in bet. And then you and I, let's be together. The bullet comments went nuclear, exclamation marks flooding the screen. Together. My brain just short-circuited. Female leads lost it. Divorce and immediately go to the second lead. What kind of insane twist is this? Shouldn't she be finding her own way? Why is she clinging to the simp now? I hate this guy. The air froze. Makoto snapped his head up, eyes wide in disbelief. He looked at Willow, then at me, like he wanted to kill me on the spot. Willow, meanwhile, stared at me with all her hopes pinned on this moment, as if I were her one and only lifeline. Bullet comments roared. Say yes, come on, do it, drive the male lead mad. Evil simp's final victory. Is this book getting renamed The Simp Strikes Back? I looked at Willow's face, practically screaming, pick me, then at Makoto's expression, like he was 2 seconds away from homicide. I curled my lips into a half smile, but it wasn't emotion, it wasn't touched, it was pure, unfiltered absurdity. Heh, a short, cold laugh escaped my lips, and right there, in front of both of them, and all the bullet comments holding their breath in anticipation, I pulled out my phone, unlocked the screen, opened the flight booking app. My fingers flew across it. Ticket booked, payment processed, all in one go. The bullet comments lagged. What is he doing? Booking a flight. He's booking a flight at a time like this. I turned the phone toward them. On the screen was the confirmed ticket info. Departure, in 1 hour. Destination, some random, godforsaken tourist island. My voice was clear, flat, unshaken. You two. One's stupid, the other's toxic. A perfect match. Dragging my suitcase behind me, I stepped around the 2 frozen statues. Stop dragging other people down with you. Locked. Goodbye. Not seeing you off. Never see you again. The bullet comments went feral. He booked a flight again. He's running away again. This novel is completely beyond saving now. I didn't look back. I walked toward the elevator. Freedom. Here I come. Chapter 7. A tiny island somewhere in the Pacific, the kind so insignificant. Even mapmakers can't be bothered to name it. The sun blazed so intensely it could fry an egg on the ground. I was lying on a lounge chair by the pool, most of my face hidden behind a pair of sunglasses. In my hand, a tablet lit up. On the screen was a freshly edited project proposal. Beside it, my phone buzzed. A notification popped up with a dramatic headline. The Ito group strikes hard. Socialite Sophia rumored blacklisted, wiped from the social scene. Followed immediately by another. Ito and Lou's marital fallout intensifies. Willow returns to Ito HQ with her lawyer, determined to finalize the divorce. Heh, exactly as expected. I swiped them away with one finger, clean and gone. The tablet screen returned to a dull profit table. Perfect. Let the dogs bite each other. Peace had lasted almost a month. That afternoon, the ocean breeze carried a faint hint of salt and humidity. I was in the middle of a cross-border video conference on my laptop. The Q3 marketing strategy will pivot toward emerging Southeast Asian markets. Cut the redundant North America budget. I spoke quickly, to the point. Meanwhile, the bullet comments were laid back and idle. Wait. Is the second male lead actually running a business from a tropical island? This vibe. CEO on the Beach edition. Where's the intense romance and heartbreak? My heart's been misled. The Ito group is on fire and he's just watching the chaos. Sigh. The plot's locked in. What could he even do at this point? Wong the human reality check. living his best unbothered life. The comments floated lazily. Then, suddenly, a figure stumbled into the far end of my vision. The sand was scorching. She was wearing high-heeled sandals, totally unfit for beach terrain. Every step sank into the sand, and her gait was awkward and unstable. A brightly colored long dress clung to her legs as the sea breeze whipped it around. As for her makeup, well, it looked like an attempt at creating a fragile, pitiful look, something that might make anyone feel sorry at first glance. But in reality, it screamed meltdown. 2 hours of sun exposure, followed by a rushed and blotchy touch-up. The foundation floated atop flushed, sunburned skin. Sweat and oil were mixing beneath, and her eyeliner was beginning to smudge. Willow. She really had managed to track me down to this godforsaken place. The bullet comments exploded. What? The female lead just airdropped herself onto the island. How the hell did she even find him? She's like a ghost haunting him. This look, post-apocalyptic glam. Props to her. Heels on sand. Her feet must be screaming. The love triangle battlefield arrives fashionably late, but it never misses. Run. Second male lead. Run. With a loud snap, I shut my laptop. The voice of my subordinate in the meeting cut off instantly. Annoyed. She was like a fly I just couldn't swat away. Willow stopped a few steps away from my lounge chair, panting heavily, her chest rising and falling. She tried to steady her breathing, putting on what she probably thought was a fragile yet defiant expression. Eyes fixed on my face with burning intensity. George. Her voice came out hoarse. I finally found you. My face remained emotionless behind my sunglasses. My eyes were probably colder than ice. She took a deep breath, as if gathering her courage, then spoke slowly, each word trembling slightly with what sounded like self-induced emotion. I'm free now. I've broken free. I came to find you. I shrugged, voice flat and unconcerned. Congrats on being single again. So what do you want from me? Willow froze for a moment, then looked downcast. You know, you've changed. You're nothing like you used to be. She paused, her eyes scanning me as though trying to find proof of that change. Then, suddenly, her tone took on a strange, eager brightness. This version of you, the one who doesn't care about anything. Her eyes sparkled unnaturally, is actually kind of attractive. The bullet comments exploded. Attractive? Girl, you're way too deep in that simp filter. She just called that dead-eyed face charming. Help. Did the simp insult her into Stockholm Syndrome? What is happening to this plot? Writer, are you high? Simp, please, wake her up. Use force if needed. Willow looked at me expectantly after she spoke, like she was waiting for a reaction. Maybe she thought I'd pull her into an embrace. Maybe flash a knowing, devilish smirk. All I felt was my stomach churning, a purely physical nausea from second-hand cringe. I stood up slowly, calmly, not looking at her, and walked over to the small bar beside me, pulled open a drawer. Inside were neatly arranged essentials, individual sunscreen packets, mosquito repellent, and a small stack of brand new disposable vomit bags. I grabbed one, walked back. Here. I stuffed the bag into her frozen, outstretched hand. Willow was completely stunned. She looked down at the vomit bag like she was holding a live grenade. I raised a finger and pointed toward the private pool behind me, my tone calm and even, no fluctuation at all. After saying that, do you feel like throwing up? If so, do it far away. Don't dirty my pool. The sea breeze blew past. The surface of the pool rippled slightly. Willow stood there holding the bag, her fingertips pale, like all her strength had been drained in an instant. Even that desperate, he's so charming now, filter shattered into dust. The bullet comments detonated in a storm of exclamation marks and laughter. Ha 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 ha. A vomit bag. He actually brought vomit bags. That was full-on physical plus psychological damage in one move. That was a savage combo. Next level mockery. Female lead. What am I doing? Why do I have a bag? What is happening? Charming. LMAO. He only cares about pool cleanliness. This man is physically awake, spiritually awake, socially allergic. Screenshot time. Female lead meme face incoming. Forget angst, the second male lead is the real anti-cringe god. I need the next chapter. Will she actually throw up? Chapter 8. Willow clutched that vomit bag so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her voice was sharp, like a chicken being strangled. George, do you still love me or not? The bullet comments flooded the screen. Here it is, the ultimate question. Say you love her, then go full dark mode. Time for the second male lead to finally show a soft side. I couldn't even bother to lift my eyelids. My finger swiped across my phone screen. Booking the next ferry off this island. No, I don't. You're lying. Willow stumbled a step forward, her heel sinking into the sand. She nearly fell, but didn't care. All these years, you kept calling me. You cared. You even came back to see me. How is that not love? The bullet comments chimed in. Exactly. Proof. Solid proof. He's saying the opposite of what he feels. Admit it already. Stop fronting. I paused my scrolling. Finally looked up at her. My gaze held all the cold indifference of someone staring at unrecyclable trash. Willow, wake up. She froze. Phone calls. I curled my lip. Every time it was you crying about how much of a bastard Makoto is. How miserable your marriage is. I replied with a few humanitarian grunts like oh, or got it. You call that caring? Bullet comments. LMAO. Humanitarian grunts. The okay trilogy. Female lead's mental CPU is overheating. Meeting you back home. My tone didn't rise, but each word landed like an icicle straight to the face. You heard about my flight and blocked me at the airport. If I hadn't agreed to meet you, you'd have fainted at customs right then and there. Don't pretend otherwise. Bullet comments screamed. What? Plot twist. She ambushed him, so he was just forced to go along with it. Willow's face turned ghostly pale. Her lips trembled. That's not true. Deep down. Deep down. I cut her off, stepping closer. My gaze was sharp as a scalpel, slicing straight through her last thread of delusion. You, a married woman, with even a shred of conscience or decency, you should have buried that little obsession in the womb. Go home. Manage your husband. Live your life. She instinctively stepped back, while enjoying the title of Mrs. Ito. Living in luxury. I sped up. Words like knives. You're still clinging to your ex. Playing that does he still love me game? Seriously, where's your shame? The bullet comments went feral. Married woman. He said it again. Clinging to the ex. This guy's got a god-tier mouth. That was brutal. No mercy. He's locked in the moral high ground with chains and padlocks. Love? I let out a low, scornful laugh, quiet, but it shattered whatever fantasy she had left. Willow, do you think love is some basic necessity, like you'll die without it? I pointed at myself, then at the ocean and sky around us. Look at me. No tears, no melodrama, no cheating spouses. I eat well, sleep great, make money, enjoy my freedom. And you? I didn't even bother hiding the contempt in my eyes. Take away all the love triangles and dramatic sob stories, what's left of you? Just a shell, a pathetic one. The bullet comments exploded. Necessity, critical hit, a shell, a pathetic one. He's not just killing her, he's crushing her soul. Female lead's HP bar just hit 0. Willow was completely stunned. Her tears forgot to fall. Her expression froze like someone had hit the pause button. That little string in her brain labeled, I'm his one and only crush, snapped clean. The bullet comments stalled for a few seconds, then flooded again. Her brain's overheating. Info overload. System crash detected. Moral framework being rebuilt. Please wait. Did the second male lead just demolish her brain like a wrecking crew? That was a spiritual cleansing. I'm obsessed. I looked down. My phone lit up. Ferry ticket booked. Departure. 1 hour later. Get it now. I put away my phone, dragging my suitcase as I walked around her like she was an inconvenient rock in my path. If you do, go back where you came from. Oh, right. I paused, turned slightly, and pointed to the crumpled vomit bag still in her hand. Keep that. You might still need it. The bullet comments had their final blowout. He reminded her about the bag again. Ha ha ha. Physical defense plus psychological damage equals double kill. This book isn't tragic romance anymore. It's how to roast a female lead, a masterclass by the second male lead. Chapter 9. I moved again. This time to a cold, sparsely populated little fjord town in northern Europe, so remote even birds couldn't be bothered to crap here. Peaceful, comfortable. Every now and then, my phone would buzz twice, pushing some celebrity gossip from back home. Bullet comments would occasionally drift across like ghost shadows. Update. Male lead Makoto is still stuck in wife-searching purgatory, camping outside the Liu family home every day. LOL. Heard he got sick from standing in the rain. Pathetic. Serves him right. That's what you get for being dumb and evil. What about the female lead Willow? Still searching for the second lead. Searching. Like she's possessed. Like a full-time private detective. Second lead. Where are you? Come see what you've done. I glanced at the screen and swiped it away. Oh. Makoto's still stuck in wife-searching purgatory. Tough. But what the hell does that have to do with me? He made his bed. Let him rot in it. A fever. Good. He deserves it. Bullet comments. Second lead is so cold. I love it. Wong the human reality check strikes again. Male leads groveling. Second leads vacationing. The hierarchy is clear. Willow's still looking for me. Heh. I put my phone on airplane mode. Searching. Search your damn self. I've got no signal. Freedom tastes amazing. Sleep when I want. Eat when I want. Work when I feel like it. No sobbing. No paranoid accusations. No one pounding on my door at midnight. Even the air smells sweet. A few more bullet comments floated by. Airplane mode. Physical disconnection. The second lead's a savage. Willow. I'm searching. 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 Second lead. Do not disturb. On. I'm crying with envy. This guy's the real winner in life. The days went by. Heard Makoto's wife-searching purgatory evolved into hell mode. The man was burning himself down to ashes. The Liu family gate stayed shut. Even the birds ignored him. Bullet comments sighed. TSK. From CEO to street beggar, you reap what you sow. The second lead's scolding was spot on from the start. Willow. Word is she's still running full speed on her quest for true love. Like a headless chicken. Bullet comments were merciless. Looking for what? The guy who called her a married woman and handed her a vomit bag. Textbook late-stage Stockholm Syndrome. She's done for. Meanwhile, I was in this icy fjord town, wrapped in a blanket, sipping hot coffee, staring out at the brutally cold, but ridiculously clean, landscape outside my window. Only one thought crossed my mind. Who the hell still wants to fall in love? Is gaming not fun enough? Have I made too much money? Is freedom not intoxicating enough? Why do people insist on diving headfirst into that cesspool called romance, acting like it doesn't already reek? Bullet comments gave thunderous applause. Truth. I've filled a whole notebook with the second lead's golden quotes. Screw romance, get money, get freedom. Second lead is officially my dream man. Enlightenment achieved. This novel is secretly anti-marriage, anti-romance propaganda. This is the finale. The second lead won. My phone finally died and shut off completely. Perfect. The world was truly silent now. Outside the window, the fjord stood still. The cold wind howled. The wind of freedom. Goddamn. It felt good. The bullet comments had one last wild celebration, then slowly faded away. The end. The second lead gets the solo spotlight. Throwing flowers. Congrats to Boss Wong for escaping the pit of suffering. Complete. Shower him in petals. Next book, please. Hoping for a spin-off where the second male lead is the main character. Carefree life. Bye. Idiots. George doesn't have time for your nonsense. The screen went completely dark.